Viewer beware.
Interesting. Welcome back to Viewer Beware. It's a show where we go over each and every episode of the original Goosebumps TV series. And today we have a supersized episode with a two-parter, Attack of the Mutant. Now, Attack of the Mutant always stood out to me because it had a really cool cover. And with comics, covers are everything. Actually, I always thought that the helmet of the masked mutant looked like the camera from Say Cheese and Die, so that's kind of a neat touch. In today's story, we have a young kid that's obsessed with comics and slowly finds out that comics are real, and creepiness ensues. Sure, we've seen it before, but have we seen it with a man turning into a chair to capture Adam West? I don't think so. So with that, let's open up our kryptonite brews, turn off our X-ray specs, and get into this super footage.
You're old, Gazelle. You're over the hill. It's time to retire.
We open to a dramatic comic book reading of the Galloping Gazelle versus the Masked Mutant. We then cut to a kid named Skipper sitting in his room before he's interrupted by his sweetheart mom and uptight dad, who have a talk with him about his comic book addiction. Skip's dad also seems to really be avoiding his wife. Perhaps he's hiding something himself. Anyways, we see a face imprint press out of the comic book like Freddy Krueger through Nancy's walls. At school that day, Skipper meets up with his friend Wilson to show him some comic stuff that Wilson absolutely does not care about.
In issue 12, page 4, panel 3, he talked about his headquarters, but they never showed it. Which one is he again?
Instead, Wilson shows off his cool new rocks and invites Skipper to come look for more, which he politely declines. I actually like this scene a lot because even though they're kids with way different hobbies and don't really see the appeal of each other's thing, they still accept their interests and support each other like real friends do.
What'd you get? Tuna. Yeah, me too. Want to trade? What for? I don't know. Okay.
After school, Skipper is on the bus when a girl at his age named Libby talks to him about comics. When the two have a classic argument about what comics are better, Skipper is so invested in this that he misses his stop and hops off the bus right away, leaving him stranded until he stumbles upon the masked mutant headquarters he read about earlier. Skipper runs off to tell Wilson about the building he found, and the two try to think about what it could have been. Wilson assures him that it's probably just the artist using the building as inspiration for his comics.
Yeah, I guess that's possible.
What? Did you think it was the mutant's headquarters? He's a comic book character, remember?
Yeah, I guess you're right.
The next day, Skipper gets off the bus at the same spot to check it out some more, but discovers the building missing entirely. When Skipper gets home that day, he receives a special delivery comic that's the latest in masked mutant details, where he reveals he put an invisibility curtain around the HQ. This prompts Skipper to get back on the bus and check it out again, this time wary of invisibility. Except this time when Skipper gets off the bus, he's surprised by the girl he met earlier. The two walk through the invisibility curtain and decide to break into the HQ. When walking into the building, Skipper gets zapped by an electric beam, but he brushes it off pretty quick. We then get some bad green screen where the kids kind of pretend to walk through the HQ, eventually getting to an elevator that's designed like a baby toy. I think the set design is confusing comic book and play school aesthetics. Anyway, the elevator crashes at the bottom floor, leaving the kids stranded in the basement. While they investigate the strange basement, somehow Libby slips away and Skipper gets lost, stumbling upon a sketch table filled with unpublished comic book pages, finding pictures of himself among the superheroes. Libby decides to jump scare Skipper with a cardboard cutout of the mutant, almost making him poop his pants. The kids then get out of the HQ and Libby runs off, seemingly disappearing. At dinner, Skipper is feeling woozy from the electric beam and starts to see life in comic book vision, before excusing himself for bed. At school, Wilson finds it hard to believe the things that Skipper is saying.
Too bad you don't have one of those drawings to show me.
You don't believe me either?
Skipper gets back home and his sickness gets worse. He still sees comic vision and can't focus. Skip's dad gives him the latest edition of the Masked Mutant he got in the mail, which has the official comic debut of Skipper, the mutant's new foe. In the comic, the hero, the Galloping Gazelle, is begging for Skipper's help, so he takes off towards the HQ in the middle of the night. He gets back into the building, but this time he realizes the mutant is in there with him. Eventually, Skipper finds the Galloping Gazelle, played by Adam West, tied to a chair.
Hey, kid! What took you so long? Don't you know you have to help me save the world?
As Skipper unties the Gazelle, he asks about what super abilities led him to the HQ.
How'd you find the secret headquarters anyway? You used your secret cyber radar powers, right? Or your ultra mind control to read my thoughts and hurry to my rescue?
No, I just took the bus.
As the hero and boy sidekick discover the secret lair of the mutant, the Gazelle decides the best course of action is to have a seat and wait.
Not a very comfortable chair either.
But it turns out the mutant was disguised as the chair. The Galloping Gazelle then decides to spin in circles for some reason, leaving the mutant and Skipper to watch. Eventually he just kinda falls down and decides to leave.
That's it. I'm out of here.
Wait, where are you going?
He's right. I'm too old for this superhero stuff. You're on your own, kid.
Skipper then distracts the mutant and runs away, bumping into Libby in the doorway. Desperately trying to get her to leave with him, Libby reveals she was the masked mutant in disguise the whole time. Turns out a grown man was just pretending to be a 12-year-old girl to groom a child with comic books until he came down to his basement. Anyway, it turns out the masked mutant was looking for characters for his stories since Gazelle was getting old. When Skipper first entered the building and got hit with the electricity, it was really the mutant destroying the human Skipper and rebuilding him as a comic book character. Also, you can totally see the zipper on the costume here. Though he is surprised by this revelation, Skipper still thinks on his feet and concocts a persona as the Colossal Elastic Boy, complete with elastic arms and a body made of rubber. In explaining his persona, he goes a little too far though.
Why sulfuric acid? That's the only way you can destroy my elastic body. Oops.
However, the mutant forgets that he can't turn into liquids and just accidentally kills himself anyway.
The most evil supervillain to walk the planet is dead.
The next morning, Skipper is depressed and shows no interest in his comics anymore. Noticing some ink on his hands, his mother tries to wash it off in the sink.
I won't get any on the furniture. I'm gonna go watch TV. Elastic boy? Stretch it!
So Galloping Gazelle is retired, the masked mutant is dead, and we get ready for the rise of the Colossal Elastic Boy. R.L. Stine actually claims this is his best ending of the entire series. Well, the book's ending, but it's not too far off. In the book, he's slicing a piece of cake at the end and cuts his hand, and it starts bleeding ink. That's how he knows that the mutant wasn't lying and he actually is a comic book now. It's not too far off, it's more subtle for sure, but basically the same thing. And I don't know if I agree with Stine here. In fact, this whole two-parter just feels like such a letdown. The cover art looks so cool, it's iconic, but it's just silly and cheap, and worst of all, not scary, like at all. It was a 90s production that was spoofing kind of Adam West era goofy, campy superheroes when it could have been something more gritty like the 90s comics and done something a little bit scarier. So instead we get this mess of cheap costumes and props that look like play school toys, when really it could have been something a little cooler, a little bit spookier. I feel like the audience of Goosebumps has grown enough to handle something like that. If you want to watch a superhero thing kind of culminating the career of Adam West, check out the Grey Ghost episodes of Batman the Animated Series. If you want something live action that's a kid learning he has superpowers, watch Sky High. It's pretty good actually. Attack of the Mutant's such a letdown, I can't really give it anything higher than like a 2 out of 5. That's mostly because the cover art and what's on there, the premise, kind of lifts it a little higher, but execution is just done so poorly. But thank you for watching. We're going to keep rolling through the series. I'll see you guys on the next one on Viewer Beware.